Imagine that the angels have already left a sign on you since the day you were born, a sign that's right in front of your eyes, but one you've never noticed. Until now. This sign isn't in the heavens, it isn't in temples, it isn't in hidden scriptures. It's in the palm of your hand. Look at your hand right now. Among the lines that cross each other, perhaps you'll notice something, the letter M. If it's there, don't think it's a coincidence. For centuries, this symbol has been called the mark of the chosen ones, the mark of the angels. What you're about to hear today could change forever the way you see your own life, because the letter M isn't just any mark. It's a spiritual code, a hidden sign left by the angels to remind you of who you are, why you're here, and what your mission is. Monks, prophets, and even indigenous peoples have spoken of this. They knew that those who carry this mark are never ordinary. They are people with stronger intuition, courage in the face of the impossible, and a direct connection to the invisible. The letter M is like a key, a door, a revelation, and today you're going to understand why it's on your hand. But pay attention, this truth has been hidden for centuries. Churches called it superstition. Governments called it nonsense. Secret societies studied it in silence because they knew if everyone discovered they carry the mark of the angels, control would be lost. And now this revelation is reaching you. If you have the M on your hand, prepare yourself. This video is the sign you've been waiting for. Since the dawn of humanity, humans have believed that angels were messengers between heaven and earth. In almost all cultures, there is the idea of invisible, luminous beings who approach people in decisive moments to guide them, protect them, or reveal hidden truths. For some, they are silent guardians. For others, they are voices that whisper in dreams, signs that appear in coincidences, warnings that emerge in unexpected moments. But there's something even more intriguing. The idea that angels left a physical mark on the human body, a permanent reminder that we are not alone. This mark would be the letter M, formed by the lines in the palm of the hand. Throughout history, this interpretation has been repeated in different forms. Some called it the seal of protection, others the mark of the messengers, others the symbol of the chosen. In all cases, the essence was the same. The letter M was associated with an angelic presence, a confirmation that the person's life carried a different destiny, a spiritual mission. For many, it was proof that angels accompany the steps of those who possess it, guiding them even in the darkest moments. If you've already noticed the M on your own hand and seen it, you probably felt a shiver, a strange mix of curiosity and recognition. This happens because the mark resonates in the collective unconscious, because it carries with it millennia of stories, prophecies, and symbols. It's like a silent mirror that says, "You have never been alone. The angels have walked by your side since the first instant." In apocryphal texts that never made it into the official Bible, there are references to signs engraved on the bodies of the chosen. It is said that angels recognized men and women who would be guardians of the truth through these signs. The M in the palm of the hand is described as one of these marks. It wasn't a sign chosen by priests, nor a ritual performed by men, but a natural trace inscribed since birth. For mystics, this was the greatest proof that the divine plan didn't need temples or intermediaries. It was already drawn on the human body. In the Islamic tradition, there are also mentions of special signs on the bodies of the chosen and Sufi. Masters said that those who carried symbols on their hands had a direct channel with divine messengers. They didn't need external oracles because they were already living oracles. When a person with the letter M dreamed, their intuition wasn't just imagination, but an echo of angelic messages. When they felt a premonition, it was as if an invisible hand pulled them out of danger. When they suffered, they always found strength in mysterious places, as if a being of light blew hope into their heart. In the Jewish tradition, the letter Mem, equivalent to our M, is linked to deep waters, to the mystery of what is hidden, and to secret knowledge. Mystical rabbis affirmed that Mem was the letter of the hidden Messiah, of the truth that has not yet been revealed, of the future that is about to emerge. Thus, having the M on the hand was a constant reminder that one carries a portion of this mystery within oneself. It's not just a sign of the future, but a living connection to the source of wisdom. Among mystical Christians, the letter M has always been associated with Mary, the mother of Jesus, seen as the celestial intercessor par excellence. Many medieval visions said that those who had the M were specially protected by her. She didn't appear visibly, but her angelic presence surrounded these chosen ones, diverting them from invisible dangers, strengthening them in moments of weakness, inspiring them to follow paths that seemed impossible. In the Middle Ages, monks recorded stories of people who, when persecuted or threatened, survived in inexplicable ways. Some were spared in battles, others escaped epidemics, others had intuitions that saved entire villages. These accounts often mentioned the curiosity that such people had the letter M well marked on their hands. For the monks, this wasn't coincidence, but evidence that angels chose and marked their protected ones in a visible way. But it's not just in ancient texts or religious records that this pattern appears. In many modern experiences, people report that since childhood, they felt there was something different about them. Recurring dreams with luminous beings, voices that guided them in moments of crisis, coincidences so perfect they seemed impossible. To be just luck. When they discover they have the letter M on their hand, these experiences gain new meaning. They weren't illusions, they were confirmations. The M functions as a key that connects personal experiences to the certainty that angels have been there all along. There's also the side of the mission. Those who carry the M usually feel that their life cannot be lived just for themselves. There is a constant call to help, teach, protect. Often these calls arise in painful ways because life forces the chosen one to face difficult trials, losses, rejections, deep crises. But in retrospect, it's realized that each of these trials was a preparation. Angels don't remove challenges, but walk alongside, giving strength and placing signs so that the chosen one doesn't give up. In various cultures, including among Brazilian indigenous peoples, it was believed that certain marks on the body were signs of connection with the protective spirits of nature. The M on the hand was seen by some shamans as one of these marks, indicating that that person had an especially strong guardian spirit, often described as a luminous presence that accompanied them in silence. For these peoples, those who had the M also had a greater responsibility to be a bridge between the visible and invisible worlds, to remind others that there are forces beyond what the eyes can see. Modern science may try to reduce the M to a simple crossing of genetic lines, but even so, it can't explain why people with this sign report such similar spiritual experiences. The synchronicity of stories, the depth of intuitions, the repetition of patterns across distinct cultures suggest that there's more here than simple coincidence. The M is a living archetype, a collective mark that activates in the mind and spirit, a connection with the transcendent, and this connection is essentially angelic. Angels have always been described as messengers, as protectors, as guides. They rarely appear explicitly, but manifest in signs. An unexpected coincidence, a sudden warning, a person who appears at the exact moment, and the letter M is the most direct physical sign of all. It's as if the angels were saying, "You were born marked, you already carry the seal, you already belong to the chosen ones." This mark doesn't guarantee an easy life. On the contrary, those who have the M usually face more trials because they need to prepare for greater missions, but they also receive more protection, more intuition, more invisible strength. In the future, these chosen ones will recognize each other. They won't need words, a glance will suffice. The mark will be the silent link that all are part of the same network, guided by the same presence. Look at your hand once more. See the M with different eyes. It's not just a letter, it's the reminder that you carry a mission, that you're not alone, that angels accompany you. Every day, with every choice, they are there, discreet but firm. When you feel lost, look at the M again. It is the compass. It is the key. It is the sign that there are greater forces guiding your path. When we think of angels, we often imagine celestial figures from the Christian tradition with white wings and golden harps. But the truth is that messenger beings, intermediaries between heaven and earth, are present in almost all ancient cultures. They were called guardians, protectors, spirits of truth, lesser divinities, or simply invisible forces that guide men. And in many of these cultures, we find references to signs engraved on the human body that would serve as marks of recognition for these chosen ones. Among these signs, one of the most common is what we recognize today as the letter M in the palm of the hand. In Babylon, for example, priests who observed the movement of the stars also analyzed the human body in search of divine messages. For them, nothing was coincidence. Everything was connected between the macrocosm and the microcosm. What happened in the heavens reflected on earth, and what happened in the soul reflected on the body. Clay tablets, dated over 3,000 years ago, described the idea of an invisible seal placed by the gods on men, destined to protect secrets and lead the people in times of chaos. This seal was described as lines crossing in the shape of mountains, or a sign similar to the letter M. Many believed that those born with this seal had the constant company of invisible messengers, a kind of primordial angels. In Egypt, the relationship was even more explicit. The goddess Ma'at, symbol of truth, order, and cosmic justice, was often associated with the M. Some scholars claim that sculptures of pharaohs show lines carved on their hands representing symbols similar to the M, as if it were proof that the ruler was a bearer of divine order. But the priests knew a disturbing detail. This same mark wasn't just on the hands of pharaohs, but also on common men and women. If the people realized they carried the same connection to Ma'at as the pharaoh, they might conclude they didn't need intermediaries to be in contact with the divine. This was a serious threat to power. Thus the mark was exalted when on the ruler, but hidden when it appeared among the people. In India, the Vedic tradition has always associated signs on the hands with karmas and spiritual destinies. Masters of palmistry described the letter M as linked to Maha, the great, the supreme. People with this mark were seen as bearers of a spiritual mission that went beyond the ordinary. They were called the bearers of greatness. For some, it meant they had a closer connection to the devas, beings of light comparable to Western angels. These beings guided the chosen ones through dreams, intuitions, and seemingly casual encounters. The M, therefore, was understood as a physical reminder that that person was accompanied and guided by celestial messengers. Among the Greeks, there was the concept of muses and divine inspiration, which many believed was brought by spiritual intermediaries. For them, the mark of the M could be associated with the word meti, practical wisdom and spiritual cunning. People with this mark were described as capable of receiving messages from beyond, not directly, but through inspiration, vision, and sensitivity. It's as if the mark were proof that these individuals had antennas tuned to another reality, connected to invisible forces that blew ideas and revelations into their minds. In the Roman Empire, some generals and leaders were selected based on bodily signs. Accounts from Roman palmists speak that lines in the shape of M were seen as an indication that the person had a connection to the spiritual world, being protected by gods or divine messengers. This belief made these individuals considered more apt to lead, as if they received strategies and intuitions directly from the angels of war. In mystical Judaism, the letter Mem represents deep waters and hidden wisdom. Some rabbis associated it with celestial messengers, affirming that those who possessed this sign had the gift of receiving hidden truths. For them, the M was a kind of spiritual signature, a reminder that the person had within themselves a direct connection to the source of wisdom, something that could only come from the higher plane. In early Christianity, apocryphal writings circulated that spoke of physical signs left on chosen men and women. One of them described that angels recognized the chosen by the mark on their hands. This mark was seen as a symbol of the invisible alliance between heaven and earth. Although the official church later considered such practices heretical, occultist, monks preserved these ideas in secret, studying hands as maps of the soul. In the Islamic tradition, Sufi masters spoke of the men of truth, those who, even living in the world, had a direct connection to the invisible. They affirmed that these men were recognized by discrete signs on their bodies, especially on the hands. They said that when the world was plunged into lies and deception, these men would rise, guided by the compassion and wisdom of divine messengers. Many modern scholars interpret this as a reference to the M. The most impressive thing is that, in all these cultures, the pattern is the same. In different eras and places, without direct contact, stories always emerge about signs on the hands that reveal a connection to celestial beings. In the West, they called them angels. In the East, devas, or spirits of light. Among indigenous peoples, guardians or protectors of nature. In all cases, the M is the symbol of a bridge between the human and the divine, between the visible and the invisible. If so many different people spoke of the same thing, this can't be just coincidence. It's as if, in all corners of the world, there were fragments of the same prophecy, a prophecy that said there will be marked people, chosen, accompanied by messengers. These people will not live ordinary lives. They will be called in silence. They will carry heavier burdens, but also more powerful gifts. And in times of crisis, they will rise to fulfill the mission for which they were born. When we look at the letter M on our hands, therefore, we don't see just lines on the skin. We see the repetition of a truth that has crossed millennia. We see the confirmation that angels have always left signs of their presence. We see the reminder that we are not alone, that we were not thrown into the world without direction. There is a compass engraved in our flesh, and this compass points to the invisible. Angels don't speak only with voices or dreams. They speak with symbols. The M is one of those symbols. It's the way they say, we are here, we have always been, and you have a role to fulfill. Every time you look at your hand, remember that. It's not just a letter. It's a message. It's the echo of an ancient prophecy. It's the seal of the angels in your life. If in ancient civilizations the letter M was already seen as a spiritual seal, today, in the full era of science and technology, this mystery remains alive. Millions of people around the world look at their own hand, see the M formed by the palm lines, and feel something different, as if that silent mark carried a message just for them. Many try to ignore it, others laugh, others become restless. But for those who delve deeper, an impressive pattern is perceived. People with the M report very similar spiritual experiences, as if all were part of the same invisible story. There are reports of individuals who, since childhood, dreamed of beings of light, angelic figures that spoke to them in symbolic language. Many of these people, upon growing up, discover that they carry the letter M clearly on their hands. Then they realize that the dreams weren't simple childish imagination, but messages. There are those who recount having heard inner voices in moments of danger, which saved them from accidents or fatal decisions. And when asked, they reveal, "Yes, I have the M marked on my palm." There are also experiences of extraordinary intuition, people who, without logical explanation, foresee events before they occur. They know when someone is going to call, when a tragedy is going to happen, when a wrong decision is about to be made. Often they are treated as strange, but deep down they recognize that their sensitivity is a gift. When they discover that this mark has been called a sign of the angels, everything makes sense. It wasn't just coincidence, it was mission. Many also report the feeling of not fitting fully into the ordinary world. Those who have the M generally feel that their life is not for repeating patterns, but for questioning, transforming, inspiring. These individuals may face periods of loneliness, precisely because their sensitivity is different. But instead of being defects, these differences are signs of mission. It's as if the angels placed a visible seal on the body and an invisible call in the soul, so that the person doesn't get lost on the path. Modern stories show how this mark continues to act as a guide. A woman in Portugal recounted that since young, she had the M very visible. She always felt a strong inner voice that helped her make bold decisions. When she lost her job and everyone said she was doomed to misery, this voice pushed her to follow another path. She studied alternative therapies, became a spiritual therapist, and today serves hundreds of people. She says she didn't choose this path, she was chosen. And she looks at her hand as proof that the angels guided her all along. A man in Brazil reported that he almost died in a car accident. He was about to take a road when, suddenly, he felt a strong impulse to stop. Something inside him said, "Don't go now." He obeyed without understanding. Minutes later, he learned there was a fatal accident at the same place where he would have passed. When he told this story to a friend, the friend showed him the M on his hand and said, "See, you are protected." Since then, he began to look at life with different eyes, realizing that his mark was a sign of constant angelic presence. Another case comes from a young woman in Russia who, since she was little, saw lights around people. Everyone thought it was childish imagination until she grew up and continued having the same perception. One day, when she researched the letter M on the hand, she discovered she had it marked on both palms. For her, it was like an awakening. Everything that seemed strange gained meaning. She understood she wasn't alone, that the angels had marked her to be a sensitive, a guardian of invisible energy, and these reports are not isolated. In different parts of the world, people with the M say they feel guided in crucial moments, protected in inexplicable ways, called to help others without understanding why. It's as if the mark were a physical reminder that their lives have a connection to something greater, to a mission that goes beyond the personal. This mission, however, doesn't come without challenges. Many marked ones report facing more difficulties than normal. They lose things, go through crises, live painful falls, but they always find a mysterious strength to rise. It's as if the angels didn't spare them from trials, but strengthened them to cross them. Each pain transforms into teaching, each fall into growth, and thus, little by little, the chosen one transforms into an example for others. Another common characteristic is deep empathy. People with the M feel others' pain as if it were their own. Sometimes this is so intense that it wears them down, emotionally. But over time, they learn that this sensitivity is a gift. They become healers, guides, counselors. Many work helping others, whether in medicine, spirituality, art, or simply through a presence that comforts. Those near them feel peace, as if something invisible emanated from their energy. Today, in the internet era, This truth begins to spread faster. Millions of people are discovering they have the M and starting to connect. It's no longer about secret societies or hidden books. Now the revelation is collective. Each video, each text, each conversation awakens more people. This is what many call the awakening of those marked by the angels. An entire generation is realizing they are not here by chance, but to fulfill a greater mission. And perhaps you, who are reading these words, feel this. Perhaps you've already lived strange experiences, perfect coincidences, inexplicable intuitions. Perhaps you've already looked at your hand and thought that this M can't be just chance. Perhaps you've even felt the presence of something greater, a protection in moments of danger, a voice that guided you in the darkness. If all this has happened, know, you are not alone. You are part of an invisible network, of a legion of people, marked by the angels to awaken in times of crisis, and that time is now. Just look at the world. Crises, lies, manipulation, destruction. It's exactly the scenario described by ancient prophets and modern mystics, and it's exactly in these moments that the chosen ones rise. They don't emerge with armies or weapons, but with courage, compassion, and truth. They are teachers, mothers, young people, ordinary workers, but all carry the same mark, and that mark is the letter M. Modern stories are living testimonies that angels continue to act. They don't appear in physical form to most, but leave signs, and the M is the most direct of all. It's in front of you every day, waiting for you to recognize it. It can't be erased or denied. It's the reminder that your life has a greater mission, that you were born for something beyond routine, beyond survival. You were born to awaken, to inspire, to be a beacon in dark times. Look at your hand again. See the M. Remember the stories you've just heard. Realize that you too can be one of them. Perhaps you already are, but haven't realized it yet. Perhaps your story is still beginning. But what matters is that the angels have already left the seal. The mark is already there, and it's up to you to decide what to do with it. For centuries, the truth about the letter M remained fragmented. Some pieces in Babylonian tablets, others in Egyptian papyri, others in Indian traditions, others still in Sufi or Kabbalistic manuscripts. In each place, the same idea. There were people marked with special signs, protected by invisible forces, called to fulfill a mission. But never before have so many people had access to this revelation at the same time. Today, thanks to the collective awakening, millions are beginning to look at their hands and recognize what has always been there, the mark of the angels. This awakening doesn't happen by chance. It emerges precisely in a time of global crisis. The world lives in periods of uncertainty, fear, and manipulation. People are increasingly connected to technology, but often more distant from themselves. The feeling of emptiness is common. Traditional religions have lost part of their strength. Governments fail to bring security. Economic systems create inequality. It's in this scenario of chaos that, according to ancient prophecies, the chosen ones would rise. And the M is the seal that identifies them. The collective awakening is not a single event, but a process. It begins silently in each individual. A person looks at their hand, sees the M, and feels that it's not a simple coincidence. They remember past intuitions, strange dreams, perfect coincidences that changed their life. And for the first time, they connect everything. There has always been something greater. There has always been an invisible guide. There have always been angels around. This initial perception is like the first spark. Then this person begins to seek more. They read stories, watch videos, share experiences. They discover they are not alone. They discover there are millions of other people with the same sign, feeling the same things, living similar situations. This connection generates strength. because it transforms the individual experience into a collective phenomenon. What seemed like an isolated detail becomes part of an invisible network that covers the entire world. And that's exactly what scares the powerful the most, because a sleeping people is easy to control, but an awakened people is uncontrollable. The M reminds each bearer that they were not born just to obey, but to fulfill a mission. And when millions of people with the M awaken, together, they create a current impossible to stop. There are no walls, no borders, no systems that can contain the energy of so many chosen ones, recognizing who they are. The collective awakening of those marked by the angels has very unique characteristics. First, collective intuition increases. Different people in distinct places around the world begin to feel the same things, to receive the same messages, to perceive the same signs. It's as if the angels spoke to everyone at the same time in unique ways, but transmitting the same truth. This creates a global synchronicity where coincidences cease to be coincidences and become evidence that a greater prophecy is underway. Second, the awakening brings courage. Many who previously feared begin to position themselves to speak the truth, to defend the most fragile. They don't act because they want glory or power, but because something inside them no longer allows silence. This courage inspires others, and thus the network grows. Each act of an awakened chosen one influences other chosen ones until the light multiplies. Third, the collective awakening brings a common mission: to protect truth, life, and the planet. Indigenous peoples already spoke of this. The chosen ones are guardians of the earth. Those who have the M cannot live just for themselves. There is always a call to care, to teach, to heal, to transform. When the collective awakening happens, these calls unite and form a global movement. Even if each person acts in their community, all are part of the same mission. It's important to understand that this awakening doesn't mean life will become easy. On the contrary, the chosen ones are tested constantly. They face personal crises, doubts, losses, but each challenge is a preparation. Each fall is an initiation. The M is not just a symbol of protection, it's also a reminder of responsibility. It says, you were marked because you have the strength to resist, because you have a mission to fulfill, because the angels walk by your side. This collective awakening is already happening before our eyes. Never have so many people spoken openly about intuition, spirituality, synchronicities. Never have so many people felt the need to seek truth beyond official narratives. Never have so many people begun to perceive signs in their bodies and lives. The letter M is part of this phenomenon. It functions as a trigger for remembrance. Every time someone looks at the palm of their hand and sees the M, they feel restlessness. This restlessness is the angel calling. It's the prophecy fulfilling itself in silence. And what is the destiny of this collective awakening? It's to transform humanity from the inside out. It won't be a revolution made with weapons, but with consciousness. It won't be a government that changes everything, but a network of people who together will live in another way. The M on the hand doesn't ask you to overthrow systems by force, but to live according to the truth, to teach by example, to inspire by courage, to heal by compassion. Angels never needed palaces, armies, or riches to act. They have always acted through ordinary individuals. And now, through millions of marked people, they are preparing a collective transformation. This is the secret. The mark of the M is the physical reminder that you are part of something much greater than your own story. Look at your hand once more. See the M. Understand that it's not just about you, it's about all who have this mark. It's about an invisible network that covers the world, connecting people who may never meet, but who share the same mission. This is the true collective awakening. This is the call of the angels, and you who feel this truth now need to decide, will you ignore the call or join the awakening? Will you live as if none of this were real, or accept that your life has a greater purpose? The choice is yours. But remember, the angels have already left the mark. The seal is already on your hand. The future has already begun. We have reached the final moment of this journey. Throughout this revelation, we have traversed ancient stories, heard the voices of prophets, delved into the wisdom of indigenous peoples, and seen how the letter M is not just a coincidence in the palm of the hand, but rather a seal, a code, a mark that connects you to something greater. But now, more important than knowing the past or understanding the present, is deciding what to do with this knowledge. Angels never leave messages for nothing. They wouldn't engrave a mark on the human body just as decoration. They do it because there is a mission. The M in the palm of your hand is more than a curiosity. It's a call. A call to remember who you are, to recognize what you carry within yourself, to accept that your life has a purpose beyond what you can imagine. Perhaps you felt this in every word up to here. Perhaps you've remembered moments in your life when you were mysteriously saved, when an intuition protected you, when perfect coincidences opened doors. Perhaps you've remembered dreams with beings of light, inner voices that told you not to give up, signs that appeared in hours of despair. All of this are ways in which angels communicate. All of this is part of the mission you carry. But the truth is that this mark is not just for you, it is also for the world. Those who carry the M bring with them a greater responsibility. To be an example, to be a beacon, to be a voice amid the confusion. It doesn't mean you need to be perfect, nor that your life will be free of errors. It simply means that, even in your falls, you will be called to rise, because there are others who need your light. Think about how many people around you live lost, without hope, without believing in anything beyond routine. Think about how many feel alone, without realizing that angels walk beside them. Think about how many carry the M, but have never stopped to look closely. It's for them too that this message exists. And you can be the link that brings the revelation to them. The collective awakening we spoke of doesn't happen in great palaces, doesn't start in governments or religions, but in simple gestures. It begins when one person discovers they are chosen and decides to live according to that truth. It spreads when that person inspires another, and then another, until millions are connected. This network is already growing, and you are part of it. Each comment, each word of truth, each act of courage feeds this invisible network. Angels don't need you to become famous, nor to perform miracles. They just need you to say yes. Yes to your mission. Yes to your sensitivity. Yes to your courage. Yes to the mark you carry. This yes changes everything. It changes your way of living, choosing, relating. It changes how you see challenges. It transforms pain into learning, falls into steps, losses into liberation. The letter M is not a promise of an easy life. It's a promise of a life with meaning. And that is much more valuable, because a life with meaning is a life that leaves marks on the world, that touches other souls, that fulfills the role for which it was created. When you look at your hand and see the M, you are looking at a reminder that the universe believes in you, that the angels marked you because they knew you would have the strength to carry this mission. Now the final question remains. What will you do with this? Will you ignore it and continue living as if it were just coincidence, or will you accept the call, assume your mark, and live as a chosen one? This decision no one can make for you. It's personal, intimate, sacred. But know, the angels will continue by your side, waiting, guiding, sending signs. And every time you look at your hand, they will be saying, We are here, and because you've come this far, it's time to take one more step. If this message spoke to you, write in the comments, "I carry the mark of the angels." It's not just a phrase, it's a pact. It's your yes to the call. Each comment is like a lit spark, like a confirmation that the collective awakening is in motion. If you felt the power of this revelation, leave your like on this video. For you, it may seem like just a click, but for the invisible network, it's a sign that you are active, awake, present. The like is not just support for the channel, it's a symbolic support for the angels who observe, "I am here, I recognize the sign, I accept the mission." Subscribe to the channel, because this was just one part of the prophecy. There are more hidden truths, more signs that need to be revealed, more messages that were hidden and are now coming to light. If you want to continue receiving these reminders, you can't stay out. Subscription is the link that keeps you connected to the Revelation Network. Activate the bell, because each new video is like a new piece of the puzzle. Angels speak through signs, and each notification will be like a call, a reminder, a warning that something important has reached you. Don't let routine or distractions steal what is yours. The bell ensures that the voice doesn't get lost in the noise. And finally, share this video. Perhaps you don't know, but someone close to you also has the M on their hand and has never realized what it means. Perhaps that person is going through a crisis, needing a sign, silently begging for an answer. You can be the messenger who brings this revelation. You can be the visible angel in their life, and it all starts with a simple share button. The letter M is the mark of the angels. It is on your hand, but also in your life, in your dreams, in your intuitions. It's the sign that you were chosen, that you have never been alone, that there is a mission waiting for you. Now, more than ever, it's time to accept this truth, to live according to it, to awaken to your own light. And remember, you are not alone. Millions carry the same mark, millions are awakening, millions are hearing the same call. The collective awakening has already begun, and you are part of it. The network is formed, invisible but indestructible, made of people like you, who looked at their hands and understood. I am marked, I am chosen, I am part of the prophecy. The decision is yours. The angels have already left the sign. The mark is already on your hand. The future is already in motion. And now is the moment to choose. Will you remain in doubt, or will you rise and say, "Yes, I accept"? If this message spoke to you, don't stay silent. Declare in the comments, activate your voice, join the other chosen ones, and help spread the truth that was hidden for so long. Because, in the end, this is not just a story about lines in the palm of the hand. It's a story about you. It's a story about what you were born to be. It's a story about the angels who walk by your side, always.